Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, or The Rock, is Hollywood's muscle man. The equivalent of like the 80s steroids era of Hollywood.
I.e. the best movies ever: Predator, First Blood, The Running Man, Escape from New York, Van Damme flying through the air.
Is he entertaining to watch? Yeah, absolutely. He's the f***ing Rock. He's a pretty damn good actor. Should we aspire to be like him? Should we find him motivating? Absolutely not. For some reason, society likes to take these certain people and put them on a pedestal, and we worship them. I'm gonna ask you guys a question. Would The Rock be where he is today without steroids?
Poignant question, but all I'm thinking is shave your head. At this point, those manes are a fire hazard.
Now we go to school, son.
Firstly, thank you for watching my last video. I got a few comments under the video saying, have you seen Philion's video on Goggins? I hadn't. I still haven't. My video was just in isolation. It was in no way related to his video.
Stay hard.
I hadn't actually been to his page for a little while, so I went to his page, and it was this video that caught my eye.
Because every time I look at something like this, I cringe a little bit. It doesn't motivate me. Because this is not normal. There's no moderation, there's no humility, just meat. Just 100% pure beef staring at me, telling me to work hard and grind.
I got excited when I watched his latest video as he referenced a piece of research by Bassin et al.
They've done studies with 4 different control groups.
So I stole his thumbnail and here we are.
If you're a natural lifter, I encourage you to click off this video, because it's about to be a slap in the face. The group with steroids, no working out, gained 7 pounds of fat-free mass.
And I briefly referenced it in a video before,
Testosterone.
where I also beat my chest like Donkey Kong.
And when it comes to supraphysiological external substances increasing your muscle mass potential, that's very well known. For example, Bassin 1996. And in this study, they had 4 groups. The group that had the external tests, the supraphysiological ranges, did show the most lean mass increase.
And so in this video, I want to take the opportunity to go into more depth on that piece of research. Philion decided to take the path of least resistance and make a comedy video critiquing The Rock's hype behind his fitness popularity.
He clearly hit the genetic lottery for having a frame to build a lot of muscle. But would he be Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson without steroids? No, I don't think so. I think he would be more like Dwayne "The Pebble" Johnson. If there's 2 things that piss me off, it's people telling me how hard they work and fake natties. And The Rock does both.
And so whether you agree or disagree with his video, he is putting himself out there and speaking his mind without concern of how popular it may come across. And so personally, I like Philion's channel. I agree with most of what he says. I disagree with other certain parts, but that's probably normal when you approach any YouTube channel. And my interpretation is that he's coming from a good place, as I discussed before, by promoting longevity, enjoyment with fitness, and also naturally attainable goals. Those are good messages. His delivery may upset people.
Who gets motivated by a big, meaty, steroided out back
Don't think he cares.
and tricep veins? What's going on here? Who looks at this and is like, oh yeah, I can't wait to hit my Sunday workout?
And so this video is in the Let's Have a Chat playlist, as I would expect there to be a range of differing opinions about this topic. Essentially, is somebody like The Rock a fitness role model because of the consistency and hard work that he puts into his training? Or on the other hand, does his steroid use detract from that status? That really is at the heart of Philion's video. And as always, whenever discussing something like steroids, it is purely for informational and educational purposes only. I do not promote the use of any chemicals on this channel at all, except BCAAs. I did skip the 90-second sunglasses advert at the beginning.
GlassesUSA.com cuts out.
Don't need them, can hardly see anyway. And so here is him presenting his argument in relation to The Rock and the steroid use.
That's not to say he hasn't accomplished amazing things and has completely changed his life and done a lot of positive things for other people. But in a society that deems steroids illegal for the most part, to have someone go against the grain, take steroids, and be put in the spotlight is a little weird.
So when it comes to these motivational characters, I always say in my videos, and I did in the last video, that there's only so much motivation that you can get from other people. The consistency to train and the discipline must come from you. The Rock is very likable, he seems a very nice guy, I enjoy his movies, but even for his biggest fans, there's only so long that they could be motivated to train consistently by watching his videos, for example.
He's the one that's working out in this clothing that people see on Instagram and then buy.
I'm sure there's a range of reasons that people do buy his clothes. If I bought it, it would be because he's a nice guy and because the Tooth Fairy is a classic.
When in reality, people who buy this clothing will never look anything like The Rock.
But my clothes, however, if you do buy them, you will look like me. So don't buy them.
The blue checkmark NPCs, absolute beast mode, hashtag no excuses. Savage.
And they can't even be bothered to write an insightful comment. Literally writing savage next to The Rock's post gets you 2,000 likes. I have no idea what LFG means. I think he used to manage Man United.
I find it hilarious how The Rock said in interviews multiple times that he took steroids when he was 18 with his football team and that they didn't do anything. And then he never touched them again. He was like, oh yeah, steroids, they don't do anything. They don't do. That is the biggest cop-out I've ever heard.
The Rock saying in that interview, and yes, I'm going to call him The Rock through this whole video, that he stopped using when he was 18. That's not correct. And he will be cycling multiple substances in a very calculated way to maintain and to keep growing. And guess what? Other Hollywood stars are also. Mark Wahlberg, love him as an actor, really enjoy his films. Enhanced. Tom Hardy, brilliant actor, one of my favorites. Bane is enhanced. In the movie Warrior, if he had to take a USADA test before his fights, the lab would have exploded. And so Philion is correct in what he's projecting there, that if people are looking at these Hollywood celebrities and they think that somehow they're going to look like them naturally, it just ain't gonna happen. You ain't gonna build those super physiological amounts of muscle if you're natural. But on the other hand of the argument, The Rock does train hard, consistently, and Philion does give him credit for that. And so really that's both sides of the argument, and I'd like your thoughts on that. And here is one thought on that by Joe Rogan.
How often is he home? Dude, he's so...
The only positive of Rogan moving to Texas is that we don't have 300 Brendan Schaub videos per month. Interesting fact, comedy clubs in LA are still closed because they don't want that man on stage. And so one aspect I do want to project to you in relation to the use of chemicals is, for example, when I talk about Mike O'Hearn in my previous video.
He calls his estrogen blocker a snowflake blocker.
Crazy Pump's also an estrogen blocker. I call it a snowflake blocker.
I call it. It makes no difference to your physique at all because they ain't the real supplements that you take, but you still manage to hook in beginners who think that buying these pointless supplements will somehow put them on the path to 250 pounds of muscle. Blocker.
And then a sneak peek of next week's video where I also say this in relation to Natalia.
Natalia Kuznetsova is a 240-pound enhanced bodybuilder who sells branched-chain amino acids.
And so in terms of people on the juice, we do see some ridiculous things in fitness. And I think the main problem is when people lie about using them, or when they mislead people to think that they can look like them and they're not honest about what they take. Because on the other side of that, somebody just being enhanced does not mean that their fitness information is invalid per se. It may be something, for example, we may not agree with. This channel is completely natural in what I'm promoting, for example, but it doesn't mean that that person's information is invalid. For example, I made a video on John Meadows, who is enhanced, who gives great fitness information. Now to the Bassin research. So Bassin is a prolific researcher when it comes to the use of exogenous testosterone for muscle growth. I referenced him in this video, and I referenced several pieces of research from him in relation to different populations and exogenous testosterone use. And so this particular study that Philion references is very interesting. And there was one group that was given external testosterone and did no training and gained 6.6 pounds of lean mass over 10 weeks. And so the study was split into 4 groups. One group who trained naturally, one group who were given the testosterone and didn't train, one group who were given the testosterone and did resistance train, and then a placebo group. The exercise was standardized in all the men, and therefore the effects of testosterone on muscle size and strength cannot be attributed to more intense training in the groups receiving the treatment. The exact protocol used was a bench press and squat, 4 sets of 6 repetitions with a frequency of 3 times per week. In addition, their protein intake and energy balance was standardized. They were 19 to 40 years of age and had experience with weightlifting. And so the placebo group, no gains, boring, next. These were the results from the group that resistance trained naturally. And then we have the group that resistance trained and were given the external testosterone. And unsurprisingly, they made the most gains, 13 pounds of lean mass increase over 10 weeks. The combination of strength training and testosterone produced greater increases in muscle size and strength than were achieved with either intervention alone. But as with all research, of course there are limitations. The resistance training design used in this research is perhaps not the best. Our results show that supraphysiologic doses of testosterone, especially when combined with strength training, increase fat-free mass, muscle size, and strength in normal men when potentially confounding variables such as nutritional intake and exercise stimulus are standardized. And something else you need to consider with this piece of research is the amount of testosterone increase within the people who took it was humongous. And so this study, whilst not perfect, is an indicator that the use of exogenous testosterone is powerful for building muscle mass. The Rock is a good man. I like him a lot. He's achieved a huge amount. But the question that Philion raises, and the question that I want to pose to this community, is does the steroid use detract from his status as a fitness role model. I'm James Linker. This is A Shred of Sports Science. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you soon.